This is a summary of the 9th season of the Debbie and Carrie show. Jason Laker informs Sandy Smith that Ted Anderson, who was mayor of the town before Sandy, is now running for Texas state senator. Sandy is infuriated at the idea of her being represented in Austin by her political adversary and so decides to run against Anderson, even though that requires her to resign as mayor. When Debbie and Carrie learn of this, they decide to return to the town after spending 3 months in Patagonia City with Vicky and Paul Jones. Carrie is soon persuaded to rejoin the town's police department, and is once again made a detective. With Sandy leaving the mayor's office, 2 men decide to run to replace her: Simon Wilson, the science teacher at the town's high school, and Wayne Bentley, the history teacher at the same school. Bentley hires Carla Jenkins to be his campaign manager. Charlie Wilson, Simon's transgender son, is planning a trip to San Francisco to have gender reassignment surgery. Going with him and paying for the surgery is Whitney Owen, who is also engaged to Charlie. Debbie and Carrie now face a legal challenge from elderly relatives of Annika McKenzie in Dallas, who want custody of her. At the same time, Vicky is so concerned about her mothers Jessica and Lucy losing custody of Vicky that she decides to get married to Paul Jenkins and then live with him and Carla Jenkins before the state authorities take her away from the Sims couple. Paul is so devoted to Vicky that he agrees, despite he and Vicky only being 16. Bella Sterling tells Sandy that her brother Sean Flowers has become lazy and distant from Bella, and the apparent reason for that is his increasing involvement with Rose Dawson, a local prostitute he is in a relationship with. The elderly McKenzie couple now meet with Debbie and Sandy, and together they work out an agreement for Debbie and Carrie to keep Annika with them while granting visitation rights to the McKenzie couple and even to let them take Annika in during the summer months. Right-wing TV talk show host Rush Scumba now expresses opposition to Sandy Smith's campaign for a seat in the Texas State Senate, causing Debbie and Carrie to fight back using their own news network, America for All, to endorse Sandy. Sandy and several of her supporters go visit a neighboring town to promote her campaign, only to find that Ted Anderson has already put up many flyers for his own campaign, and there is either apathy or stiff opposition to Sandy. Bella and Eric Sterling have a confrontation with Sean Flowers about his laziness, warning him that he must change his attitude soon. But that doesn't happen. One day when Vicky Sims and Paul Jenkins are on a date, they encounter Sean Flowers and Rose Dawson on a date of their own. And later, when word gets back to Bella and Eric Sterling about Sean's affair with a prostitute, they kick Sean out of their house. Help for Sandy comes from an unexpected source: Charles Maynard. He is a Republican who is running for the same district as Sandy, but he also opposes Ted Anderson and hopes to knock him out of the Republican primaries. Sandy then persuades Wayne Bentley to endorse Charles Maynard. And Maynard, in turn, endorses Wayne Bentley to be the next mayor of the town. George Anderson, in prison for an arson attempt on the Tuscany Tavern, now gives an interview to Jason Laker in which he states that he is now opposed to his father's new campaign, and that both Ted and George were responsible for not only neglecting the sewage treatment system of the town, but sabotaging outright, causing many to get sick from contaminated tap water. Also involved in the conspiracy was Leonard Wilson, who was a co-owner of the hospital at the time. Carrie, herself once a victim of contaminated tap water, is outraged at this revelation and confronts Simon Wilson about it, since Simon is Leonard's brother and also co-owns the hospital even now. But Simon denies any involvement and pledges to help the investigation to confirm George Anderson's claim. For Sandy, this is exactly the sort of issue she needs to discredit Ted Anderson, and so she files a lawsuit against both Anderson and Leonard Wilson, and also pushes for criminal charges against them. Charlie Wilson now returns from San Francisco, having recovered from the bottom surgery he had to complete his transition as a transgender person. Vicky Sims is hired by the Aphrodite agency for a modeling campaign to help pay for her upcoming wedding to Paul Jenkins. Simon Wilson tells Debbie that Ted Wilson and Rebecca Smith are now married. Sandy brings Annika and Richard Sims to spend time with the elderly McKenzie couple, and then takes part in a political rally in Dallas. Rose Dawson now meets with Bella Flowers to reveal that Sean, now living with Rose, is as lazy with her as he was with the Sterling couple. So Rose plans to force Sean to do household chores for her and then kick him out to force him to return to the Sterling couple. Leonard Wilson and Ted Anderson are both sued and arrested. And soon afterwards, the wife of Ted Anderson, tells him she will divorce him and that she was the one who persuaded their son George to reveal the conspiracy the father and son were involved in. George Anderson then becomes the star witness at the trial of his father and Leonard Wilson, and the two are convicted and sent to prison. After the trial, Ted Wilson publicly threatens Carrie, who he blames for his father being put away. Carrie is unimpressed. With Ted Anderson out of the race for Texas Senate, the two remaining candidates, Sandy Smith and Charles Maynard, continue their campaigns against each other for the rest of the election period. James now tells Sandy that his scholarship to Harvard has run out and so he will finish his college education in Denton, Texas. Penny will return to the town to live with her uncle again, and she is pregnant. Meanwhile, Sean Flowers has been kicked out of Rose Dawson's apartment and, just as she intended, he comes back to Bella and begs her forgiveness. Bella agrees to take him back, and forces him to do all the household chores. The final results of the election are as follows. Charles Maynard wins against Sandy Smith, and he will become the Texas State Senator. And Wayne Bentley won against Simon Wilson and will become the next mayor of the town. Since Bentley is replacing Sandy as mayor, Principal Carlos Hernandez offers to have Sandy replace Bentley in turn as the high school's history teacher. Sandy later agrees to this. And while remaining engaged, Vicky Sims and Paul Jenkins agree to postpone their marriage until they graduate from high school. Meanwhile, Charlie Wilson and Whitney Owen have themselves tied the knot. And so ends the 9th season of the Debbie and Carrie Show.